Good afternoon, everyone. And I think probably it's, I don't know what movie that was from, but it was good morning, good afternoon, and good night. We've got a really wide swath of people coming in from a lot of different places. So welcome, everyone. This is Scott Dillon from the SAP Cloud Platform Center of Excellence for North America. And today is our first session in the SAP Cloud Platform Garage. So we're going to have some fun, and it's going to be a little bit different than maybe what you're used to, but we're going to give people maybe just 1 or 2 more minutes while we're just getting going here. We didn't want you to think that we weren't here, so that's all good. I guess just by way of a couple of little notices on the bottom of your screen, because of course we can't hear you, but at the bottom of the screen, when you're in the On24 software, there is a group chat button that doesn't come up by default. So during the session today, if you want to open that up, you can just throw a few comments on there. Just make sure that we know you can, you're able to use the software as is intended. And then at the same time, you will see a Q&A box. So for the people that are attending, and when you want to send us a question, we're going to have myself and another individual doing most of the presentation. And then we have another couple of people that are dedicated just to answering our questions. So this is our goal today, to get questions answered and stuff like that. There you go, Adriano. That's perfect. I know it's not something that's immediately obvious when you log in and you kind of see the options at the bottom. So the group chat is there exactly for that reason. And so anyway, I think what I'll do now is I'll introduce maybe our speakers. So let's do that. And go to the preview screen. So today we have with us Udo. So let's back up the truck a bit. So we got 4 people total. So myself, I've already introduced myself, so Scott Dillon. Udo Paltzer is with us today as well. Udo, do you want to do a quick introduction for yourself?
Yes, thanks so much, Scott, for inviting me here to your great webinar today in the garage. Yes, my name is Udo Paltzer, and I'm a product manager for integration services on the SAP Cloud Platform, like Cloud Platform integration, API management, IoT, and so on.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. And Ricky, are you there as well?
I am. Ricky Chang. I'm a solution engineer focused on the SAP Cloud Platform, and I'll be here answering any questions you type in the chats.
Awesome. Mr. Derek Hayford.
Hello, everyone. My name is Derek Hayford. I'm also a solution engineer with SAP. I'm focused on SAP, all things SAP Cloud Platform, and it's great to meet everyone. And I'm also here to answer any questions you have in the Q&A box.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much, Derek. So let's go through what I hope for everyone will be a slightly different format. So as part of my role in the Center of Excellence, I get the opportunity to meet, I'm privileged to meet a lot of customers. And so, of course, over time, as I travel across North America, there are certain topics that get raised more frequently than other. And so one of the things that I want to try to address with this series that's going to start now, and we've got sessions planned until the end of the year, is basically disseminate information in these, what we're going to call bite-sized pieces. So you're going to see over the next 8 months, if you participate with us every month, the sessions are pretty focused, and it's going to be one single topic, and you can see they're very streamlined. And so the idea here is that we'll do a quick 3 to 5 minute introduction. We're going to have what I call a time topic overview. So if anybody's ever attended Tech Ed, they know that part of the demo jam, they have this kind of timer they put up. So I'll have a timer, and whoever I invite into the garage, so in this case, it's Udo, who I've known for a long time. He's extremely knowledgeable in integration services, and he's going to kind of play the role of the mechanic, and I'm going to play the role of someone that doesn't know anything about integration services, and he's going to help me understand what the subject matter area is, and then he's going to walk me through a demonstration that I will do for you. So he'll provide some guidance, and I'll do it. The plan is for all the rest of the series, or maybe 70% of what's left throughout the year, we're hoping that you'll follow along and you will try to do the same thing that we're doing. Unfortunately, with the scenario today with integration services, we don't provide that on the SAP Cloud Platform trial accounts. We couldn't orchestrate that for today, but in future sessions, we're hoping that, yep, we're going to be doing something we'll be doing a guided demonstration for 15, 20 minutes, and you will do the same. So the outcome will be something very prescriptive. It'll be a topic and something that we think a lot of people are asking about to get you informed. And really, that is the number one goal. We want to basically educate the community, build a following around SAP Cloud Platform so that you're more knowledgeable and you can build, bigger and better, more awesome applications for the SAP Cloud Platform. So that's the goal. So on this next slide, one of the things that's really nice about this On24 platform is that we can do some little polls. You're going to see that in a second. We also ran, as some of you know, I noticed some familiar names on the phone. We did do some tech academies earlier in the year, and we normally do them kind of in the winter and then in the spring, or late in the fall, sorry. But of course, the challenge here is that not everybody can spare a day with us. So the goal behind these tech academies was to make them a bit shorter. You can come on for an hour, get some knowledge, and then get off. One last little logistical point. If you see the Twitter feed on your page, you have to do a refresh to see the tweets that come in. So in a few minutes, we're going to get into that and have you send a couple of tweets. So if you want to see those come through, you'll have to refresh your page. So the topic for today, before we do the poll, is going to be around integration services. So oftentimes when we have introductory conversations with customers, they have a tendency to compare feature to feature our integration services or our integration product, I will say, and they compare it with other products that are on the market, which is fine, and everybody needs to do that at some point in time. But one of the things that's often overlooked, and certainly in my humble opinion, underappreciated, is the out-of-the-box content. And it's not always immediately obvious what that really means and how that can come to play. So the goal today will be to walk you through what it looks like to use a piece of out-of-the-box content. And we purposely picked one that is hooking into Twitter, because of course the other thing that people often assume is, oh, well, the SAP integration products, they're only good for SAP solutions. And this could not be more further from the truth, and especially over the last 2 to 3 years as SAP has adopted more and more open standards. So today we're going to show you hooking into Twitter, grabbing some information from Twitter, the tweets, and then connecting to a Hybris marketing system and putting them in there should you wish to do some sentiment analysis. But we're going to walk through that. So we're going to do a quick poll. And so it's very easy. I think all you have to do is basically click on the one of the 5 options. You should see that now. How would you describe your knowledge and experience with SAP Cloud Platform? It just gives us myself and the other presenters just some idea about where you sit in your realm of knowledge. You don't have to submit an answer. We would appreciate it if you did, just to kind of give us some, I guess, some borders, some guidelines. That would be amazing. I see we've got 12 of 74 people so far have submitted. 16%, 26%. And then we'll just spend give it 30 or 40 seconds, and then we'll move on to the presentation, which I will get a timer ready, Udo, so I hope you're ready. I'm going to construct a timer as we're waiting. Yeah. Let's see the stopwatch. Yep. Okay, I'm going to get that ready. We're up to about 65%. This is amazing, everybody. This is good. 65% of everybody have answered so far. So we've got not familiar, aware of the features, 40%. We've got I'm very familiar, about 15%. And we are using some cloud platform in my organization, 17%. Okay, it's going pretty good. So basically, people have some familiarity, about 40-ish%. Okay, 10 more seconds, and we'll move on. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving on. Okay, so this is how we kind of ranked up there. 25% not very familiar, which is great. So thank you to the people that are not familiar. Thanks for joining, because after today, you'll be well on your way and aware of some features. 40%, we're using some SAP Cloud Platform, 20%, 12% very familiar. And what is SAP Cloud Platform? 1%. So just to answer that 2 seconds before we go. So SAP Cloud Platform is a platform as a service built by SAP for the purpose of building net new applications and or extending, of course, the wide variety of SAP applications that we have. So without further ado, this is the part now. So we're going to go into this timed topic section. Udo, I've put up your first slide. You have 7 minutes from now to tell the audience, to give us an overview of what SAP Cloud Platform Integration is. So go time, my friend.
Yeah, super. Thanks so much, Scott, again, for inviting me to your super cool webinar in the garage. I'd be more than happy to provide you an overview of the SAP Cloud Platform Integration. So we can right away go to the next slide. Scott, actually, you did already a great introduction as you nicely already introduced into the topic. So integration, or SAP Cloud Platform Integration, is our core integration service where we integrate all our cloud applications with each other or with other cloud applications or on-premise applications. So SAP Cloud Platform Integration is completely open for the integration of SAP as well as non-SAP applications. And as Scott nicely outlined, today's example will be even the integration of a non-SAP application, and not any non-SAP application, but really a cool one, namely a social media non-SAP application. So customers think of SAP, sometimes it's a bit, not super modern. So with Cloud Platform Integration, we provide, for example, also the means to integrate with social media channels like Google AdWords, Facebook, Twitter, etc., and directly feed those tweets from the social media networks into an S/4HANA system or an SAP hybrid system. This is only one of the many examples which you can see actually here on the right-hand side in the graphics. So SAP Cloud Platform Integration provides many integration capabilities, and as you, Scott, nicely outlined, one of the key benefits is this prepackaged content. So more than 700 integration scenarios are delivered out of the box and can be leveraged with any CPI license. The cheapest one, the most expensive one, with any license, you can leverage all this prepackaged integration content. Some examples are provided here on this graphics on the right-hand side. Social media channels is only one sort of integration scenarios. Another key driver of CPI actually is also the integration with public authorities. All companies who do business in countries like Peru, Chile, Germany, Italy, Spain, and so on, they know that they need to provide tax-relevant information also to public authorities. More and more countries become more strict about it. In these public authority integration scenarios are super complex. You need to sign your payload data, you need to encrypt them partially, and every country does it differently. And here, customers, if they would set up these scenarios on their own, it would take weeks and months. And with the prepackaged content, we have statements from customers they went live within a matter of days. So we ship all the content. We make sure the mapping switch from the APIs from social media to an IDOC in an ERP system, for example, or between an Ariba system or data API and some web service API in an S/4HANA system, for example, including the mapping, data transformation, etc., lookup calls into multiple backend systems. So to round it off, SAP Cloud Platform Integration is the essential and strategic platform for the integration of our applications with any other application on-premise or in the cloud from SAP as well as non-SAP. Business partner integration is yet another example where we integrate usually via open standards like EDI, EDIFACT, and 612, which again is a nice example for the integration with non-SAP systems. And for all who still want to have more out of it, partners can also use CPI as an open platform, as Scott also nicely mentioned it. So also in CPI, we have two exit points for our partners and customers. They can build further adapters in case further adapters are required, or even additional prepackaged integration content, which can also be listed together with SAP's prepackaged integration content. Super, Scott. So to stay in time, maybe we move to the next slide.
You have 2.5 minutes, Udo.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Then we are nice in time. So as Scott mentioned, so one of the key advantages of SAP Cloud Platform integration is the pre-delivered integration content. Feature and function-wise, we compare actually quite good also with our competitors. Plus, on top, we have this prepackaged integration content, which is all available via one easy-to-remember public web page called api.sap.com, where you can find everything relevant around integration, APIs from our cloud applications, as well as the prepackaged integration content, plus also a sandbox system. You can even test our APIs out there. Okay, so maybe Scott, to stay in our time now, so we can directly move to the Content Hub. So first we can directly go to the Content Hub, which would be also a nice handover to our demo. So it's a public web page. Here you can find all the prepackaged integration content.
Let me know if you see the screen, Perry or Stacy. Do you see the screen coming up?
I still see the slide with the demo, with explanation of the demo. So everybody get your Twitter accounts ready. Everybody is welcome to tweet along. I can explain already the demo scenario while we can, until you can see the API Business Hub. So we will tweet along, and we collect those tweets via a CPI integration flow and push the tweets into a hybrid system. And many customers require this. It's prepackaged content. Customers would like to understand how my clients, customers tweet on my products. Are they happy with my product? Do they tweet positively? And then I can reach out to all those customers who positively tweeted, for example, on my product, and can reach out to them via marketing campaign. Here, dear customer, kindly find my new T-shirt campaign coming up next week. Why don't you visit our stores next week? And then we have a special offering and so on. So it's super critical for all our customers to understand social media channels and have a direct integration of critical important data into a hybrid system. I still see the demo slide.
Really? Are you in the audience view or the preview? Because
I'm in the sorry. Super.
No worries. So let's just stop right there for one second, Udo. So I just want to refresh and recap a couple of things. So, and that's 7.5 minutes. So that's good timing. You can do a little kind of intro. So for folks that may have joined in the last couple of minutes, there's a group chat icon at the bottom. And this is your way to kind of send us some questions as we're going through. If we say something that doesn't make any sense, by all means, this event is for you, and we want to capture your questions and get them answered. So this is really important. And the other thing is, if you happen to see the Twitter console there, if you want to see an update on that, you have to refresh it. But just to recap that, so Udo, just one quick question before we proceed. So when we talk about this out-of-the-box content, it's still a bit of a mystery, which we're going to drill in now and show an example of that. But the example that I always use, because it resonates with people, I think, a lot, is like if we have a customer that's going to SuccessFactors, like I hear this all the time when customers say, "Oh, Scott, I've got this product ABC, and this product ABC, it supports APIs, it supports REST, it supports this, it supports that. I'm just going to build this content myself." And I say, well, it's entirely possible, technically possible, you could do that, but why don't you investigate the out-of-the-box content? So when I hear the word out-of-the-box content, what I think about is, obviously it's content, but what does that really mean? So what it means is there's an actual process flow that's been built by SAP on top of the technology, including the connection points, including the mappings between, in this example, between SuccessFactors and the mapping against, if it was ECC or if it was S4 or if it was S4 Cloud, we would have those mappings already done. Is that accurate, Udo?
Yeah, it's super accurate, and even more, sometimes the business objects, as you rightly mentioned, don't match at all. And not only they don't match, so you need the mapping between ERP employee object and a SuccessFactors object, and even more, sometimes the objects even require further information. For example, if I want to replicate employee data between ERP and SuccessFactors, I need to even do some I need to do some fetches from other backend systems to create all the data that are necessary. So
okay.
So it's what I was looking for. So even lookups we can do with one integration flow.
That makes total sense to me. So, and the other part, I guess, I often hear is that, oh, well, we're going to use SAP Cloud Platform integration services for the SAP stuff, i.e. SuccessFactors and Concur and S4, but we would never use that to connect to Salesforce, as an example. So is it possible then for a customer to use integration services to connect to these non-SAP third parties as well?
Yes, it's not only possible, but it's even supported. So we even provide Salesforce adapter, Amazon Web Service adapter, Microsoft CRM adapter, Microsoft Dynamics CRM adapter. So we even have native third-party adapters on CPI out of the box.
Very nice.
So they're part.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so let's. Awesome. So now I want to get into I want to just cut it short there, and I want to move into showing people some software, because this is the focus of the garage today and moving forward, is to show people real stuff instead of, sometimes SAP does a lot of blah, blah, and a lot of PowerPoint. We want to get away from that and show people some real stuff. So what do I want to see here? So Udo, for the audience, Udo's going to walk me through now kind of your typical, scenario where a customer says, I want to do an integration scenario, and where would I start? Like, what's my first step to finding out if, in fact, there is some out-of-the-box content? And if I did have some out-of-the-box content that I find, how would I actually use it or enable it, right? So let's walk me through that process, Udo. I'm going to follow along here and I'm going to do exactly as you tell me.
Yeah, super, Scott. So maybe the starting point is right away here with SAP API Business Hub. So first we are in the Discover phase. So let's see what we have for the content. Maybe you click on the classic design. A lot of people are still more used to the classic design in the upper right-hand corner. It's a bit easier also to navigate.
Okay.
In the API Business Hub. And there you find three main areas: APIs on the left-hand side, business services in the middle, and integration on the right-hand side. APIs, if you would like to directly retrieve data from our different backend systems, S4HANA, SuccessFactors, etc. Business services like machine learning services, and then you can click already on integration. So here you find all these 700 plus prepackaged integration scenarios where you as a customer don't have to break your brain. We did it already for you, plus also all the upcoming changes. So you can click here on the All button and you can find here 145 integration packages. One package can have one or multiple scenarios, and each package is for a certain number of integration scenarios, one or more, and they're nicely described. Even in the title already, you can kind of assume what type of scenarios you can find. On the left-hand side, if you scroll down a bit, there's a filter. You can navigate here according to right here. So click on one of the more buttons here. You can search here for according to industries, line of businesses, country-specific integration content. So even here, you can search for the prepackaged integration content. If you click, for example, on vendors, you can also find left-hand side vendors. You can find here, so not only SAP content is being shipped or is even available here on this Discover page, but also from third-party vendors. So if you hit in the search button, for example, Twitter, then you would be able to find, so if I'm looking now in the search field here on the API Hub, the search function looks nicely. So just in the search field, you can search here for Twitter, and then you, here, yes, Twitter, and then you should be able to see at least here a scenario, content, integration flows, for the integration with Twitter. So
quick question, Udo, just a quick question.
Yes.
So like on the left-hand side here, we see something called an integration package versus an integration flow, and we see these different icons. Can you kind of walk us through the legend of what these are?
Right, perfect. Scott, thanks for bringing this. Yes, of course. So integration package would be the bracket. So this is the high-level bracket which summarizes all the artifacts that belong to one or multiple integration scenarios. It includes documentation, release notes, a high-level description of this integration scenario or scenarios, as well as the downloadable and executable artifacts like value mapping, integration flow, etc. And one of the most important artifacts, of course, besides documentation release notes, would be the one artifact above, an integration flow. An integration flow is a descriptive language of describing the message flow from sender to receiver application, with all the pipeline steps, mapping of the sender data into the format required by the receiving endpoint, mappings, the security, encryption, decryption of the messages, retrieving lookup calls into multiple backend systems to retrieve more data that are required in order to push the message finally to the backend system. So it's a BPMN-based notation and provides in a graphical way an overview of your scenario, plus it's the executable artifact.
Right, and this is a key point, Udo. Let me just stop you there for 1 second, because years ago we used to publish. If anybody's been around SAP for a while, so I've been here 16 years, always in the kind of the technology arena. We used to publish kind of documents as part of the ESR, and they were pretty. They were pretty pieces of documentation, I would call them, which is really different than what we have here, right? Because what we have here, if I'm understanding what you're saying, is an actual model. This is the model that runs in the cloud, right? So when you develop your process, or we provide a process to you, this is what would be modified if you had to make a change and then deploy into the cloud. Is that accurate?
Yes, completely accurate, yes. Scott, and you bring it to the point, as always, so this from content, so it runs in the cloud, customers can use it as is, as we will do in our exercise. In a moment, customers can modify the content, and they can even create their own artifacts for all the use cases where we don't ship prepackaged integration content.
Now, is it true, Udo, one other little point, Udo, is it also true, I've heard a rumor, good rumor, I've heard a rumor that if a customer, if we compare option A and option B, option A is a build your own, roll your own, people get busy, they hire some people, they start building all these mappings. And then option B is they go here, they find some content from SAP that was built by SAP. Is it true that these scenarios, these out-of-the-box content packages, are also supported by SAP?
In the sense of they are always supported, in the sense of meaning?
So if there's a problem, as an example, let's say they have a problem with the integration scenario that this is supporting. In a case like that, they can log a ticket and get help with it, right?
Yes, exactly. Of course, yeah, sorry. When I didn't get the question, yes, of course, these are supported by SAP. So customers can also always open a ticket.
Okay, perfect,
yes.
perfect. Okay, so let's... I'm just conscious of the time, Udo. So now I want to transition from here, if we can, over to where we would then, so now we've done an investigation. So in my mind, what we've done here is we've looked into the library of out-of-the-box content packages that SAP has, which is the way that I think of the API Hub, right? It's all the content that we have. It's the example that I always use. It's like going to the library, you look into the card catalog, and now we've found the book, or the content that we want, but now we got to make it real. Now we have to actually use it. And I think this is the exciting part, right?
Yes. Can't wait to start. So now we need to switch from this Discover page to your own. Now we switch into the role, you as a customer, or now in our case here, a demo system. Now this is your customer real tenant, and here you can find in principle all the prepackaged content as well. This is now a demo system. Of course, not everything looks exactly the same as on our Discover content. We have more than 150 or 145 integration packages, so it's even for us hard to keep up with all the changes. Of course, on the customer tenant, everything would be published, and here we would like to keep it a bit simple, to keep also the overview. And I understand, Scott, that we have already here our prepackaged content available from the API Business Hub, and customers would have just to grab the integration package they're interested in and then copy it from the discover area into the design area. And as you nicely showed here, Scott, so we have in principle 4 areas on your customer-owned tenant. In the discover area, again, same thing, API Business Hub, all the package content is there. Customers can copy each and every package one or multiple times, if you need multiple versions, into the design area. In the design area, they can modify the content, deploy the content, and in the monitoring area, they can monitor all artifacts that are important around integration. Security artifacts, credentials, username, password, integration flows, keys, do the message monitoring, etc. In the setting area, that's an area for the administrator to do some additional settings for your customer-specific API tenant. Yeah, so I guess we copied already our Twitter package into the design area. So maybe we can navigate. Yeah. I mean, you just click on a package, click on the copy button, and then you navigate into the design area, find your copy, and then and now the beauty is also, maybe you saw that these integration flows can be rather complex. These Twitter APIs, they're actually quite cumbersome, so you get a lot of raw data from it, as you can see from the Twitter tweets, photos, thumbs up, text, etc., pictures. So we need to map all the relevant data into an interface that maps to a SAP, to a hybrid system. So we can either now extend the iFlow and do your modifications, but today in our first round, we said that we actually would like to get this up and running without any modifications. Take the content as is. So in a few minutes, actually, customers can go live with the scenario. This is what we did actually in one of our previous content packet sessions. And here the other option is, when you want to use content as is, you've introduced this configure option here, quick configure option, where even a business user with hardly any integration knowledge can run an integration scenario. So Scott, we go into the configuration area. And now we have a polling scenario. So meaning we poll data from Twitter. So we can do it here on once for demo purposes like our case, test cases. We can also click maybe here on the schedule on a particular day, or we can even have a reoccurring event every Monday morning, every 2 hours. I would like to poll the Twitter data and push them into my S4 system or my hybrid system, but today we leave it with the run once option.
Okay, all right.
Super, Scott. So then we have the receiver. So these are the endpoints. So we have 2 endpoints in our integration center. First, the Twitter. So first we need to log on to Twitter in order to be able to retrieve the data. And here we only use public APIs of Twitter. So we need to log on. So each customer needs to log on via their own Twitter accounts to Twitter. And for this, you need like username, password. And for Twitter, for a development API, you don't need only 1 credentials, but even 4 credentials. So these keys that you see here below here are nothing more than username, password in order to be able to leverage the Twitter API and retrieve data from Twitter. So these credentials have to be deployed upfront from your customer, by your customer, and where they are being deployed, this we will see in the monitoring section, where you can find then all the artifacts.
So just one quick question, Udo. So something that I've always found confusing with integration services, because here it clearly states black and white, the receiver. So the receiver, when I was working with process integration in the past, I've always thought of it as a source and a target. So data is coming from somewhere and it's going somewhere. So I always thought of the target as the receiver, but that's not really the case here, right? In this case, the receiver, as you alluded to, it's an endpoint. So basically, we've got a process that's, you got to think about this, right? There's some code, there's an integration scenario that's running in the cloud, and when it has to touch something outside of the cloud, these are going to be the endpoints. So in this particular case, Twitter is the sender, right? That's the way that I think of it. It's a sender. Even though it's labeled as a receiver, it's kind of where we're getting the information from. So I guess we're receiving information from Twitter, and then we're gonna send it over to Hybris, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's in this case, it's in particular a bit confusing. I have to admit, the thing is that it's a polling scenario. So we poll from Twitter. So Twitter does not send data to us, but we poll the data from our side. So we need to send a message to Twitter. So it's a receiver in this case. Maybe we send a message to Twitter, then we open a connection via these 4 credentials here and poll then the data. So from CPI perspective, so Twitter in this case is also a receiving endpoint because you open the connection to Twitter and pull the data from Twitter. And then again, we have the other receiver. If you click now on the drop down, if you click now on the OData iFlow, and this is now another beauty of this, of the scenario, actually, is that we have decoupled the polling from Twitter from the pushing to the endpoint, to the Hybris system. So we call here now in this OData iFlow actually another integration flow, which we can also show you in a minute. And we just need to configure the URL of this receiving integration flow, which we can also show you in the on the CPI tenant. And then we push the data into this iFlow, and this iFlow then actually pushes in the data eventually in the Hybris system. The idea behind this decoupling is that we could have multiple polling scenarios. I poll from Twitter, I poll from Google AdWords, I poll from Facebook, but they all push into the same integration flow. And when I need to change my Hybris URL, I only need to do it once here in this OData integration flow and not multiple times in all my polling scenarios. That's why we decoupled polling from pushing.
Right. And this, but to me, Udo, this is I'll go to the last tab, but I'll make a few comments on that as well. So basically, what I hear you saying, and I think to me, this is the biggest reason why customers that are thinking about using integration services via, and we're going to run it. I mean, that's what it boils down to, right?
Yeah, actually, and even more. So once you have done all this pre-configuration with the integration flow, URL, and the Twitter feeds, even a business user only needs to adapt these keywords, the hashtags that I'm searching for. So actually, once you are done with setting up the principal configuration, that is even more easier. So here you add now the keywords that we are searching for, and before we deploy the iFlow, actually, would we like to motivate the audience to tweet along with us?
Absolutely. So here's where we need a little bit of audience. We need some audience participation now. So we're going to test this real time. So we haven't deployed this scenario. If everybody looks closely at the bottom of the screen, then you'll see a deploy button. So obviously we can't deploy it and then have you tweet. You need to tweet anything you like, hopefully something not vulgar or anything like that. Tweet something funny. You're having a good time, whatever the case may be. But put the hashtag, hashtag SCP Garage, all one word, no spaces, just as you see it on the screen in front of you. And then once, 2 or 3 of you get it done, if you wouldn't mind, just put a comment in the group chat, because essentially I'm going to sit here, and hopefully it's not too long of a pause, until we see 2 or 3 people that come back in the group chat and say, yeah, we've done a successful tweet with those words. So it's real. This is what we're doing in the garage. We're doing real scenarios, real software. So if I'll just pause there.
Super. Thanks so much, Scott. Yes, it's real. It's like you can tweet along. You can see tweets not only in CPI, but then also later in the Hybris system, where we can then evaluate the data and send like a marketing campaign to all the customers, for example, that tweeted positively about my product. So it's really an end-to-end scenario. It's really a super nice example, Scott. It's integration with non-SAP applications like Twitter. It's modern scenarios. So we open up our good old core with social media integration. It provides integration into S4 systems as well as Hybris. It's prepackaged content. You can go live in minutes. So it's really super easy to set the scenario live, and even a business user can maintain the scenario on their own afterwards.
Okay, folks. Has anybody specified in the group chat that we've got some tweets going on? Okay, so yeah, I guess there is a little bit of a delay. So we'll just wait. We'll wait another maybe 30 seconds or so, Udo, before we hit the deploy. But you did mention one other piece, just while people are listening online. You did mention the fact that essentially we've got, in this particular scenario, we've got the pull from Twitter separated kind of as an architectural pattern separate from the push, right? And I think one of the things, I don't know if we'll have time to show, but one of the things in the way that was architected is that we've got two iFlows at play here. One iFlow, that's the kind of the core where it pulls Twitter, and then we have another iFlow that's basically responsible for interfacing with the other systems, right? And so that allows us to separate and get some degree of reuse, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Very cool. Okay, I'm just checking my messages here. See. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead. Hopefully, some people have sent one or two tweets, and we're going to give it a shot because they're a little bit behind us, Udo. So I'm going to hit deploy. We'll push this out.
So once you deploy,
away
you can see also when you have done some changes, and it will also automatically save the changes. And then we can now have two options, Scott. We can stay in the design area. Maybe you would like to show this other integration flow, which pushes the data into the hybrid system. I think now we'll just take a few seconds until the iFlow is deployed and then fetches all the data.
I think it's in the admin one, right?
The admin package.
I got to scroll down here. Yep, here.
Right, and yes, and this one, and there's now an integration flow or data, which can be called actually from any other integration flows as well, and exactly the lower one integration flow. And this iFlow is a super simple iFlow, just basically has the web service endpoint as a provider, just like a provider service, and then it pushes the data here via OData into a hybrid system. So if you open the URL, the adapter on the right-hand side, the data adapter, and then you can see the URL of the hybrid system, which you maybe see if we still have time in our demo, right? So this is the only other thing that actually customers would have to configure. What is the URL of my hybrid system? And also down below the YMTT credentials, again, the username and password to log on to your hybrid system.
Right.
Okay, super.
Gotcha.
So we can go to the monitoring area. Again, in the monitoring area, you see everything around the operations of your integration scenarios, the deployed iFlows, user credentials, keys, the queues, logs, etc. So we see now two integration flows happily, successfully executed. One is the pulling iFlow from Twitter, and the other one is the pushing iFlow or data into the backend system. So we can take a look. Should we start?
This one, the integration flows, Udo?
Yes, right.
Okay.
So these are the successfully processed messages. So we should see now two messages here per hour. So the second iFlow is the one that pushes the data into the S4 system, and the other one, exactly, it's the iFlow which pulls the data from Twitter. So we can click on it, and then you can see the message log, when the iFlow was started, when it was deployed, when it was deployed, how long it took. You can even see the single iFlow steps here, for example, when an error occurs. And then the attachments are then the payload information. Of course, payload information is protected, so you need special rights to open up the payload. In our use case, of course, we have the rights. In there, the last attachment would be the tweets, and there hopefully we see now a bunch of updated tweets.
Let's see.
Some of you
time will tell.
Yes, super. Thanks so much for everybody who contributes. So currently, the default setting is the last 7 days. Everything which is older than 7 days on Twitter is considered to be a bit older.
Nice.
Of course, this can be changed, but the default setting is 7 days. So here we see, so in CPI, we have the data already, which is actually super good. And then we could also, if time permits, also take a look into the hybrid system, or we can also stay in the monitoring area. Scott,
well, let's pop over to hybrid just for a second, because now we know. So basically, as you mentioned, there's two components here, right? There's the pull, And let's just make sure that things actually ended up inside the push, right? Because I think this is an important part as well. I'm just going to refresh my screen. So give me 10 or 15 seconds here for it to refresh. Let's see what we got. So now I'm basically, for the folks on the phone and that are watching, we're going to just quickly jump into the hybrid system where that integration flow is attached. And I, for sure, am not a sentiment analysis expert, but for the purpose of this demo, if you ever have any more questions on that, I'm not your guy. But we can get in there and we can just take a look to make sure that something was received at the very least, just to see how this goes kind of end-to-end to Udo's point, SAP, non-SAP. And then what we can do here is we can do a search and see what's going on, right?
Super. So we can enter here the keyword, and the hashtag that we were tweeting on about. And now it's return, carriage return. Right, and then we only see the relevant data now, all the tweets for SAP Garage, including also the context, if this contact information is maintained in Twitter. Because we only pull public information. So here, super, thanks everybody who tweeted along.
Yep, this is good.
And now we can even work with this data.
So how does that work? We would just...
Right, so you can copy. First, you can make a copy of all the tweets, including contact information, and then so there's now a bit of configuration, small configuration, right? So you go up on the right-hand corner, right? So you create a new post group. Scott number, no, which number are we? Scott number 5.
Gosh. 2018. Yeah. Love it.
Let's create. So we just create a post. It's just a hybrid configuration. We drop all the tweets in here, right? And then we need to create a target group. So just click on this button, target group. We need to assign it. That's fine.
Okay.
Then just wait a few moments, and then once the target group has been created, now we have a target group, and now actually here you can see the contact persons, if they maintain any email address, phone numbers, and then you can reach out to all the ones who tweeted, for example, positive. So in hybrid, of course, there's much more included. They do a sentiment analysis, offline every 15 minutes. Was it a positive tweet? And then you can directly create, like, for example, a marketing campaign. Scott, you can complete the or release this post group here on one of the buttons below. And then you can run a Facebook campaign, email campaign, so directly integrated from social media here into our hybrid system.
Gotcha. This is really nice. Okay, what I'm going to do now, Udo, just because I'm conscious of the time, and I told people we would keep these bite-sized, which means we have to finish on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this. I'm going to pop back to the On24. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, which should get us back to the presentation manager. It should re-enable everybody, the team, or should enable the webcams, I think, back on your screen, I believe. Yeah. And so what I want to do now, Udo, is just let people know on the phone. So number one, this is our first event of In the Garage. And so we didn't have a ton of opportunity to poll you for questions, but here's how I would like this to work going forward. So I've taken the liberty of putting together a few questions that I've gotten from a lot of customers in the past, year on integration services. So I'm going to just shoot those questions rapid fire at Udo to see if he can get through those. And at the same time, for the next one, what we'd like to do is have the audience and the next set of participants provide the questions, because that would give them, the feedback. So give me 1 second to have a look at this, my question list here that I made for you. Give you some tough questions. Okay, so Udo, I think if memory serves me correct, you used to also be the product manager for the process orchestration, process integration on-prem, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, so tough question. Number one, what's the difference between on-premise process integration and CPI or Cloud Platform Integration Services when it runs in the cloud?
Yes, exactly. The SAP Cloud Platform Integration, of course, is our cloud-based integration platform, while process orchestration is our good old on-premise solution. So process orchestration, of course, will be continued to be supported, but it remains in the on-premise landscape. And of course, the key focus would be on-premise to on-premise integration. While with Cloud Platform Integration, we have a fully managed platform as a service, meaning, of course, not fully end-to-end managed. However, we from SAP are the platform, the integration platform as a service provider. So we, SAP, are the ones who maintain the platform end-to-end. From upgrades every 4 weeks, we upgrade the platform. Every 4 weeks, customers can consume new capabilities. We do all the operations, high availability, failover, etc. Make sure the platform is up and running. So the TCO is, of course, much, much lower for customers. We have customers who fully replace now PI with CPI, and there's a TCO reduction of 50 to 60%.
Wow, that's a big number. Let me ask you this. I also have heard, though, Udo, so when a customer says to us, hey, I'm not quite ready to move to the cloud. We're a little bit cloud hesitant, even though we understand and we hear some of the benefits. But is there a way for customers that are on the most recent release of process integration to run some of this out-of-the-box content that we have in the cloud? Is it possible to run it on-premise so that they can start to take advantage of that content, start to learn some of the new techniques that we're using in the cloud? Is that possible today?
Yes, of course, Scott. Yes, the clear answer is yes. So with 750, with the latest release of process orchestration, we have also downported actually the CPI runtime on-premise. So since we have a cloud-first strategy and all our beautiful SAP API Business Hub, all this prepackaged integration content is also available for on-premise customers. So we have so many on-premise customers, more than 10,000 on-premise customers, and of course we keep on supporting them also with our cloud-first strategy, meaning that all the prepackaged content can be also consumed starting with 7.50. So everybody who wants to stay on-premise or want to have a smooth transition into the cloud, take all your time. We keep on supporting PI, so you can also do a transition into the cloud whenever it's feasible for you. So you can consume all the prepackaged content in new scenarios. Maybe you use already the prepackaged content, and if you need to touch one of your process orchestration scenarios, then you might want to directly migrate them to CPI.
Interesting. So summary is, if a customer is looking at the cloud platform and they see, an integration or content package that they see and they go, wow, that's exactly what I need, but we're not ready to go to the cloud. It's entirely possible if they're on the latest release of PI 7.5, they could enable the runtime, but they do their design of the integration flow in the cloud. They do the design there. They figure that out, and then they basically deploy it and run it on-premise. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I got one more question for you, and then we're going to look in the Q&A because I think there's a few questions in there too. One generic. So two last questions on my side that I hear all the time. Is there anything that when we talk about SAP customers, they always want to know about the roadmap? What's coming in the roadmap, Udo? What's coming? So if you were to think of just two things that we're thinking about at SAP that might be interesting for customers in the next 6 to 8 months, what pops into your head?
Yeah, so one big highlight is certainly multi-cloud support. So currently CPI, SAP Cloud Platform Integration, runs merely in our own data center, SAP data center, but we want to leverage also other third-party infrastructure providers like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, and even down the road also private cloud deployment options. So one big ticket item, and for beta, actually we plan to release CPI in a beta version on AWS for TechEd this year. TechEd 2018 plan of having CPI based on Cloud Foundry, so we need to do a technical move under the hood, but then we will be able to run also CPI out of different data centers for Amazon first, and then it will be Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, Alibaba is on the roadmap in China, as well as first private cloud deployment options. This is one big ticket item. And then there are many other enhancements planned for the connectivity options, for the B2B capabilities, etc. So
okay, so we're trying to give customers, we're trying to give customers choice on where they can deploy the software. So if a customer is really aligned themselves internally with Cloud Foundry, then in the future, we'll have the ability to say to a customer, hey, if you want to use this service, you can basically pick where the service will run, and it'll be in one of those Cloud Foundry centers, right?
Exactly. Super.
Okay. Okay, let's, in the time we have left, Udo, I want to quickly go through the chat here. I think most of them have been answered, but let me just have a look here. Is there a SuccessFactors integration adapter with multi-domain ad hoc report? I'm not quite sure what that means. Is there a SuccessFactors integration adapter with multi-domain ad hoc report? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, not right away, but maybe we can also provide our email addresses, and then we can follow up certainly. So we have a SuccessFactors adapter on it, but if I see the question, I guess you already know the SuccessFactors adapter, which provides support for all the APIs, Web Service API, REST API, and OData API on SuccessFactors. But I guess you need to have some further details, which we are happily following up.
Okay, two other questions here that are good ones, I think. Some people who started years ago, or maybe a year ago, using HCI, when it was that name, some people got used to using the Eclipse, environment, Udo. So number one, is that still supported? And if someone develops a flow in Eclipse, could it later then be modified or edited using the cloud-based software?
Yes. So first answer, actually in June 6th, so beginning of this month, actually the support officially for Eclipse is done. It's gone. So we announced it, or we received already for many years feedback. Now, why do we have two development environments? And in the cloud environment, working with the cloud system, it's much more natural to work just with a browser. The disadvantage of Eclipse was always we kept on developing new features every 4 weeks, and customers always had to deploy every 4 weeks new Eclipse plugins. There was always a mismatch of the available Eclipse versions on-site at customers versus what we already have developed further. And in the cloud environment, it felt always strange to work with on-premise tooling, and there was a clear wish that we should support web UI tooling only, and we did. The move now since June 6 only web UI tooling is supported officially. Customers can still open tickets, but we don't support any new features on Eclipse anymore. Customers can, of course, migrate the Eclipse scenarios into web UI and modify them there.
Got it. One last question, Udo, and then we're going to shut it down because we're at the top of the hour. One last question, and this is and I've asked you this myself before many times. When are we going to get a trial version of integration services in the trial account that people can play with?
Yes, so we have it already actually available as of today, kind of just an automated trial version, which is just an email to hci.sap.com, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, or just email us. Then we can provide you with a trial tenant. The automated trial is planned for next year. With our multi-cloud support, it's on the roadmap, yeah, definitely. We need to have it, yeah.
Okay, that's good. We're going to do a quick poll. So, folks, we're done now with the official part. If you're seeing the poll, you can basically answer it. If you want to have a follow-up conversation with myself on this particular topic, we could pull in Udo. Feel free to answer the poll and have a look at that. And then what I want to talk about basically is the go-forward path. So, because we're going to need your input here. So on the next session, which is planned for July 26th, the plan is to go through API management. And so Udo has walked us through today, you know, like a starter conversation around integration services, and done a great job, I think, around process integration. But normally when people come to us and they say, you know what, we want to have a bigger, broader conversation around integration, really closely related to that, and you can see that on our API Hub, there was a tab for APIs. So on that particular session, we're hoping that people can follow along and build an API with us, but we'll have another product manager actually that sits inside Udo's team. His name is Elijah Martinez, and we're going to talk all about the API management service, and we'll probably rip that apart, put together an API, see how that's structured, talk about some of the policies you can put on top, and we'll do that. And then, of course, so that was, there's the poll that sits there. Hold on, I need to still get used to this a bit more. So there's your poll. You can submit that if should you wish to do so. And then this is the schedule of official, you know, the sessions that are out there now until December. We might change it a little bit in the last part of the year, but that's the tentative agenda. And then a simple poll. Did you like today? If you liked today, didn't like today, we're totally open to the feedback. This is going to be the community's event to get their information that they need to build really cool apps. And so for those of you that are not following me, my Twitter account is ScottDillon1, and I've been posting out, you know, the notices of when these sessions are. So if you want to continue to be notified, or if you're not already following me, by all means, follow me on Twitter, and I'll continue to do that in the lead up to the next API session. Aside from that, I mean, I'd like to thank everybody that participated today. Of course, the people that set it up are my friends in marketing, Ricky, Derek, answering the questions. Udo, of course, always a pleasure to talk to you, and well done on the content. And I think we're done. I think we're good, unless there's other questions that you want to post quickly in the group chat. If anybody has any last questions, please post them in there real quick. Otherwise, we'll see you in the garage at the end of July.
Thanks also from my side, everybody, for joining. This was really great to have you on board. I hope it was helpful for you. And thanks also everybody who supported, including Scott, to run this beautiful webinar. Really
thanks, Udo. Definitely takes a team of people, so appreciate it. Yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Udo.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.